Bible doesn't say that. That it's okay to have gay marriage and it's okay to abort babies, but they corrupt the words that the Bible say and interpret it unrighteously to support that. And one of my friends, he moved. We weren't living together, but we were going to the same school, and he moved from out of state. And he said there is a small congregation of people that of outside of our church and a different church, I'm not quite sure, but they worship Jesus and they believe that Jesus was gay and that he had a husband and Peter was his husband.
Okay.
And I was like, that, no.
Do you guys believe that Jesus was married to a woman?
There's speculation.
Right.
I think he could have.
Yeah.
He could have been.
So it's not a little hypocritical?
Yeah.
That you guys
not believe?
Yeah.
That's why most people lean to believing that he was married.
You mean wasn't?
He was.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That's why, at least in my
Wait, why do you guys believe he's married?
He was married?
Yeah.
Why do we believe that he was married?
Yeah.
We believe that he fulfilled all righteousness. I mean, that's what the Bible says.
Okay.
I mean, part of what God asks us.
And why did Paul say it's better to be single than to marry? I'll tell you the fun answer, but you guys have to tell me your answer.
I think it's a classic. Jesus was the only perfect being, and that was probably a mistake that Paul wrote.
Wow. Okay.
Or something.
That was harsh. That was harsh.
Yeah. Or something that was changed with creeds.
I was just gonna say a more harsh version of what you just said. I was gonna say, well, Paul was false. So, just him in general. Okay. Yeah. I posted on Facebook. I said, if you want to tell me how there's a, 0.006% chance that Joseph Smith was a false prophet, well, let me tell you how there's a 0.67% chance that Paul was false. Hear me out.
Yeah.
I think you can make a better case for Paul than Joseph Smith.
Being a false prophet.
Yes, I think you can. I think you can make a case for both. I was an anti-Mormon in October 9th, 2020 to early 2021. I denied Joseph Smith to a Bible study in Jesus' name. So I was way out there anti. And I had a sign, I had a vision, or I had a miracle. A huge revelation. I remember telling Sister Clay, and she just said, "Really?" It was probably my favorite, really ever. It was a revelation that the Book of Mormon was demonic. So I threw the whole church out at that point. And then God sent me Elder Richardson, who is smarter than me, knew the Lord better than me, and younger than me. He was very smart. He knew probably 120 verses, with chapter and verse, and all different verses than me. And I just felt the Spirit with him. And when the missionaries got me to pray again, that's when I prayed for gold and silver versus dragons, crows, crocodiles, and snakes. And I told God, I would love gold and silver, but I really want dragons and crocodiles and crows and snakes, because I want to. Because I don't know, I'm just weird, and that's what I want. I want to be Christian, and I want to be kind of. I want to be the king of the terrestrial kingdom, not a servant in the celestial. Think about it like that. I'd rather rule in hell than serve in heaven. But I'd love to serve in heaven too, but I just want the truth. A lot of Christians, they want what they want, and they don't necessarily want the truth, which is why they tell each other not to pray, which I think is really stupid and inconsistent, wicked, dumb. But there are Bible verses talking about how you can get deceived, and even praying you can get deceived and stuff. But I'm not going to let any holy book tell me to pray, not to pray. In fact, the Book of Mormon says, don't let anyone tell you not to pray. It's the evil one that tells you not to pray. But you can mature and think about, like, okay, do I want to bug God with stupid prayers, dumb prayers, wicked prayers? Like, if you just think about it logically, like, I don't know, just some prayers are worse than not praying at all. So maybe if Christians came in at that angle, it'd be like, I don't know, it's like asking if Hinduism is true. Would that piss God off? In my opinion, no, but I can see why you maybe say yes. Oh yeah, that's a messed up question or something. Ecclesiastes 5:2 is like, be careful with your words with God, to God and stuff. You know, you just want to come up to him and blast off a bunch of oaths. Like, you know. But anyways, I ended up getting cryptocurrency as the dream. After a few days of nothing, and I would just wake up and I'd be like, what the heck? Why aren't you talking to me? Why aren't you praying? Or why aren't you talking to me, you know? And Missionaries, get an answer? No. And God's like, oh, that's cool, you know? And like, I didn't give up. Luke 18:1-8. Per quantity has a lot of value, and you can get the job done on your second, third, fourth, fifth, 1,000th prayer in a way sometimes that the first one doesn't go through. It's the parable of the unjust judge who takes her case because she's annoys him, and God's a just judge and he's loving. I ended up getting the cryptocurrency, and it was God testing me to see how I would interpret it. And I was really excited because I have a hybrid theory as well, and it's kind of like the Community Church of Christ, how they love and hate Joseph Smith. That's why I wanted to join the Community Church of Christ, because it was so similar to my beliefs at one point. Multiple times I looked into their theology. They gave the priesthood to women, which I didn't like because I was a male chauvinist, sexist, misogynist at the time, and I'm really not like that anymore. Mm-hmm. But it's not a big deal. But they believe in the Trinity, and they believe that Joseph Smith was a fallen prophet at the end and stuff. But and they exalt the Bible over the Book of Mormon and stuff like that. Interesting beliefs there, but it doesn't make any sense. But it was kind of what it was like. It's like, are you sure this? Okay. But I said crypto is kind of like gold, silver, and dragons put together. Mm-hmm. It's a scam, but it's not a scam. It's like liquid virtual. It's better than money, but it's significantly worse at the same time. And it's kind of like, the church is not as good as gold and silver, but it's not as bad as pure dragon. So I'm thinking, okay, that's what it is. And then boom, I just keep getting the crypto, and I'm texting him, yeah, I got crypto. And then when God thought I was right, because God's like, oh, this is an incredible interpretation. Because if he's throwing the church a bone with crypto, then let's do this. And I get this dream of this roll of quarters, and at the bottom is like a 1964 quarter, which is 90%. It's called constitutional silver, junk silver, but it was like this pretty pure silver coin at the bottom of it. And I think I've been texting Joel, who's like kind of just a pure innocent anti-Mormon Christian soul guy, and he loves all the reformers. He loves the penal substitutionary atonement. He doesn't like Calvinism, but most that's something that all Calvinists have in common. They don't even like their own religion. Mm-hmm. But they submit to it because they think it's in the Bible. And so then I said, okay, the church is true, but it's not gold. It's like one of the best churches, second best, because I would have got gold if it was true. Mm-hmm. Right? So I said it's true, but it's, you know. But I was like really excited. I told Joel, and he's like, yeah. And then now all of a sudden, Joel's like, oh, I don't know if we can trust our dreams. I'm just like, bro, screw you, right? And the missionaries are kind of like, yeah, cool, yeah, I already knew it was true. So I was just like, okay, well. So I keep praying, and I get a gold dream. And I was like, okay. And then I get a gold and silver. I have the whole testimony on YouTube, but I started having fun with it. One of the last ones, I said, can I get a dream of the gold price going up, and I got that exact. I had one where it was gold and silver, and the gold and silver were like it was like super shiny. Like I walk into a room and it was like filled with gold and silver.
Oh, wow.
And in the dream, because I didn't know I was dreaming, I was like, gold and silver doesn't shine like that. That's fake. And then I wake up, and then I was like, oh, so the church is fake. That was like one of the really ones. But I was kidding, though. I was like, but like, you know. Anyway, when I got the gold price going up, it was this guy, Troy Black, on YouTube, who's kind of a funny guy, and he prophesies. He's a modern-day prophet. And he says, oh, God told me there's going to be a volcano explosion in Asia. And sure enough, three months later, there is a big volcano explosion. He has these prophecies that have, but a lot of them are very vague. Okay, and he gets these. He's just a dreamer, right? But anyways, in the dream, it's Troy Black, and he has. He's prophesying. He makes a video of gold. Gold's gonna go up, and then he makes another video right after. Gold's going down. And then when gold goes up, he takes the video down of the gold going down. So now he has a permanent victory and an unlisted video that nobody can see. And so basically he's over-repping his wins, and he forget the losses. Because he's like and he has these compilation videos of I'm right about everything all the time, you know. But meanwhile he's a winner, but he's not like 52-0, right? Like my sports prophecies are 5-0, and the scariest part is putting the revelation out there before the event. It's so scary. I don't know if you guys have ever prophesied, but I did it, and I get to make the choice if I put it out there, you know. But there's different levels of prophecy. But anyways, he's not exactly batting 1,000. So that dream was killing two birds with one stone. It was getting me what I wanted. It was kind of throwing Troy under the bus, right? But they were so vivid, powerful, and clear. I remember just telling God, "That's enough. I'm done with it. No, don't send me gold and silver anymore." Right? It's like okay, there's nails in the hands here. Right, but it's not like Doubting Thomas. He was just lame, right? He didn't have any faith. But when he got it, he was like, "Oh, now I get to pick if I'm a son of perdition or a follower of Christ." And God's like, "Hey, I'm not going to be shocked if you want to be a son of perdition because I've seen it before. You know, I've seen this." And he goes, "No, I love you." He's like, "Oh, that's great." Proverbs 20, verse 29. He who sees and believes is blessed. It's amazing. But he believes without seeing is better, right? For me, I had massive faith in a minority Christian position, which is that Joseph is a true prophet. And that fits like a glove, if you look into it. I don't know if you guys ever looked into that one.
Joseph Smith being a true prophet.
Yeah, you guys, it's a theory that Christians have.
Like Christians outside of our church?
Well, I consider you guys Christian.
Yeah.
I was talking about you guys.
Oh, okay.
And then there's this other theory that he's a con man, which only makes sense if you don't research it at all, because people can write books.
Yeah.
So then they say, oh, like this pastor, he was like, yeah, I bet my net worth that he wrote it. And then I was like, oh, well, he didn't, and you were wrong. And I had already talked to him for 30 minutes about all this crazy stuff that we disagreed with and stuff. But this was the only thing where I rebuked him like this, like, nope, you don't even get to say that, you know. And he was saying a bunch of crazy things that I disagreed with, but I was like, well, at least it's in the Bible. I mean, it makes sense what you're saying. Just like, whatever, dude. Yeah, you can believe that if you want. But I said, no, you can't. But you can't believe that Joseph Smith wrote it. I said, it has to be from God or the devil, and I have all this information that you don't. And then I quickly went through the 36-letter chiasma and stuff, and then he was just like, okay, you're right. It was the God or the devil. I was like, yeah. I know. So it's like, how does it feel being 100% sure betting your net worth to win $1 and then you lost your net worth? How does that feel? Oh, good thing William signed the bet. Yeah.
I think.
So, but the demonic theory, even though it makes more sense than the con man theory, doesn't make as much sense as the true prophet theory.
Yeah, I don't think it could couldn't have come from the devil. If you look at all like these actual devil worshipping cults
Yeah.
that start up, they don't last very long until they like eventually all kill themselves or are arrested.
That's interesting. What do you think about the Community Church of Christ and the Reformed branches? The different branches of Mormonism have all lasted. When Joseph Smith died, Joseph Smith started a cult, but when he died, there was 3 churches that spawned from the cult.